Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Tonight we're checking out a 2022 Ford Maverick in the Lariat trim level at night. So this video focuses on the interior and exterior lighting of the vehicle. Check my channel for the full overview. First, I want to point out that you can turn off the exterior lights when the engine's running simply by putting the headlight switch to the off position. Some vehicles just simply have exterior lights on all the time and you can't turn them off easily or at all. So this one, you simply turn the headlight switch off, all the exterior lights are now off. Now I have the parking lights on, and you see it has these white accent lights here. And they also serve as a daytime running light as well. They're not super duper bright. You're not going to mistake these as headlights, but they are visible. And there's a nice white soft glow here in the front. It's looking really nice. Also, this amber side marker is now illuminated with the parking lights on. The tail lights wrap around to the side of the vehicle, kind of serving as a side marker as well, and they are also LED. They're on the sides, but it's a combination of LED and standard bulbs. So the soft glow around the outside is the LED, but there in the center is a standard bulb. So it has a combination. Same thing with the turn signal and the brake light. It's a standard bulb spec here. Turn signal here in the front is an amber standard bulb there. Just underneath that white accent light is the turn signal, and it's right above actually the headlights. You can see the tail lights turn into the turn signal, so it's just a flashing red light here. So potentially, you could, some people will say that you could mistake the brake lights for turn signals or vice versa. So something to consider there when you're sharing the same lights for a different purpose here. Now I have the low beams on, and it's a multi-reflector low beam. And the outer two is illuminated now. Let me turn the brightness down so you can see what I'm talking about here. The outer two are illuminated. The inner portion is for the high beams, which is not illuminated right now. And it's an LED reflector system. I'm going to show you what it looks like going down the road, but here's a first-person view here. So there's low beams and high beams. When you turn on the high beams, it just simply adds that center one, but it is a higher and more a brighter light there. And let me turn the brightness back down so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see it's a little bit of a different focus and brightness there in the center. For your high beams. Has, of course, a higher position as well. So as I dip down, you're going to see those illuminate. This vehicle has the cover here, but you can see it does have the bed lights that illuminate on the back of the cab into the bed. You also have a light here on the left side, which is an LED. These up here are standard bulbs, and then this is the LED here. Now it does turn on briefly when you open up the tailgate, but it does have a button just below it to where you can turn it back on. And it does a decent job, even though this is black interior here. You can see okay. Now it's only on one side, but if you didn't have the cover on here, these lights will kind of fill in the rest. So I think that's pretty decent. The inside of the rear door, there's no lights except for a little finder light here on the power window. Other than that, it's a dark door. And the interior lights here, turn the brightness up a little bit. They're just right there in the center, like a center dome light. You can see there's one here in the back and two in the front. and it illuminates the interior fairly well. I mean, it's adequate, I would say. Here in the back. These combination buttons illuminate when you either press them or when you touch the handle of the vehicle. The inside of the driver's side, the front doors basically have more buttons, so they're all backlit here. And also you have this little ambient light that you can adjust the brightness in the screen there, right here around the handle. But there's no puddle lights. And the side mirrors, they don't have any turn signal indicators. There's no lights in the pocket in the door or anything like that. The floorboard does have some illumination, which is part of that ambient lighting system, which you can adjust the brightness. But you do have these lights here in the center, and they illuminate this area here fairly well. Like I said, I'd say the interior lights in this capacity is adequate, but there is some shortcomings coming soon. You'll see when we get on the inside. So I'm sitting in the driver's seat and I have the door open. I'll go ahead and shut the door. Interior lights turn off, and we have some backlit buttons here. So here on the steering wheel, of course, backlit buttons. And let me turn the brightness right next to the headlight switch is the brightness button. So let's go ahead and turn that wide open just so you can see what the maximum setting is. You can see it affects the backlit buttons as well as the screens. You can see the screen is quite bright now. The gauges. Now the ambient light, like the floorboard illumination, and in here, here in the handle, there's a setting in the screen. Under the settings, vehicle, ambient light, you can adjust the brightness of just the ambient light. So we can, that's the floorboard, so you can see it's a floorboard, but it's also some of the this pocket area here, and also the right in here where the handle is, the floorboard. You can adjust the brightness of that. Now, the brightest setting is not very bright, so it's not a big deal. I prefer it the highest setting. So you can see this area here, luckily, is illuminated. That would be a big problem if that wasn't illuminated, but it's a good thing that kind of deep cave is illuminated. So you can see the backlit buttons all here. Let me go ahead and put it in reverse so you can see the backup camera, which is fine. The shifter and these buttons here. Now the cup holders are dark. The glove compartment, believe it or not, there's no light in the glove compartment. It's just completely dark. Same thing with this center pocket right here. I'm gonna have to turn the interior lights on because there's a few things, like the glove compartment's dark. The center console is dark in there. There's no light in there. No light in this area. So cup holders are dark. Now there is, tap lights here. Turn on all the interior lights. Have them turn on with the door in the center position, and all the way to the right turns that door setting off. Also, the sunroof button is backlit illuminated. The visors have lights and mirrors in them. Look like standard bulbs there. So here's the headlight pattern against some trees here. And you can see there's a clear cutoff there on the low beams. So the cutoff is intended to not blind other drivers. So it keeps majority of the light below that cutoff, which is about the same height as a person's eyes or their windshield, I guess. Now it depends on, you know, the way the road is. Like sometimes if you're driving uphill, sometimes the light goes higher than that, but it doesn't seem like this is an extremely bright LED light, so it doesn't seem to be an issue as far as, you know, overly blinding somebody. Of course it could be, you know, bright, but it's not really a big deal. So here's a dark road. So we'll go high beams, low beams. So high beams, low beams. So it is an adequate headlight system. It's not like a super fantastic headlight system, but it does look, you know, you can see good. It's just a multi-reflector, and it just adds that additional light there for a higher position and a brighter, more penetrating light down the road. But the low beams, you can still see pretty good, and it has a good spread there on the sides of the road.